Well, my name is Marisa Vega. I am the Vice President of the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York Incorporated. On behalf of my fellow directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 6th Annual Community Breakfast. It is always a joy to see so many friends and supporters of this important work we are doing together to make Western New York stronger and more vibrant. By being here today, you are showing that you care about our community, the Hispanic and Latino community, and value its place in the larger community. It is your support that embracing our rich diversity that we become stronger as a city and a region. Today, we will update you on the many wonderful projects that we have been busy doing during the year and the present goals that we have moving forward. We appreciate your interest and count on you with your support. We have planned a morning full of interesting presentations, recognitions, performances. So without further ado or delay, I'd like to present the mistress of the event, our HHC directors and Sin Fronteras radio hosts, Michelle Agosto and Samantha Martinez. Gracias.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday. We have a little person here, and I know what to do. Hold on one second. You know you have kids when you have one of these in the house. So you want to step up here. Can you see her? Okay. So I'd like now to invite both London here. London, I have a distinct pleasure of inviting to the podium. She is our youngest guest of the day. She's here to recite the Pledge of Allegiance in both English and Spanish. And I'd like you all to welcome London Vincent Gates. She's a student at Frederick Law Olmsted number 64. She's enrolled in the school's dual language program, and we want to make sure we give her a big round of applause. So can we do that, please? We'd also like to ask Amy Garcias Osorio to come up, who will sing her rendition of the national anthem once London is done. Okay, you want to ask everyone to stand up?
Please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. English or Spanish?
First, English and then Spanish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América, la república que representa una nación pobre de Dios y visible con lealtad y justicia para todos.
All right, very nice. You can stay there. You can stay there.
Good morning. Please join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I don't need a stool, so I'm good. Thank you, Amy, and thank you so much, London. That was really beautifully done. At this point, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite to the podium Western New York's very own Miss Kathy Hochul, Lieutenant Governor of New York. Please give her a round of applause.
Gracias, Michelle. Buenos dias, everyone. Are you all awake? Buenos dias. All right, that's much better. I am so delighted to be here. First of all, I really had to be here because I got asked by someone who I don't see very often, but who's very special in my life. My husband, Bill, had been on a plane coming back from somewhere, and he saw Kaz on the plane, and Kaz says, "Can you get your wife to come to this event?" And so my husband's been asking me for days, "You're gonna go to Kaz's event, are you?" So I flew in from Manhattan not long ago, and I said, I will be there. But also, this is such an important celebration. First of all, after only doing this for 6 years, the Hispanic Heritage Council, look at the crowd. Look at the individuals who came out here. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is astounding, the number of people who come out here who honor and celebrate the vibrant heritage that we have here in the city of Buffalo. And I want to say, since I was a little girl, my family's been involved with the Puerto Rican community. We used to work with some of the people who lived in Lackawanna and worked in summer camps, and so we used to bring the children into our home and have a chance to get to have this interaction, which was so important for us to understand how wonderful the culture is. And that helped me today understand why initiatives that you've undertaken in ways that, whether it's simple as murals in Niagara Street corridor, the storefronts that are now coming back, our investments in bringing back old warehouses so people can live there, the neighborhoods are safer and more beautiful than ever. We're undergoing a renaissance in a part of our community which has been long neglected. And I'm so happy that we lived long enough to see Niagara Street come back, and also all the businesses and the families that can live in the streets adjacent. I literally ride my bike up there. And I go through the neighborhoods, and I love seeing people pushing strollers, streets that had once been ridden with criminals and gangs and fearful to even live there. And it's come back in a beautiful way. And also to talk today about how we honor the heritage and the music and the food and the culture of the Hispanic community. But it's more than just words. It's also putting policies into action. And a couple things I want to talk about. One is the response of my hometown to the cries for help from our fellow American citizens in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. I want to give you a huge shout out and recognition, raising over $227,000 and all the relief that you sent down there and the people and the goodwill you sent there. And I want to tell you, I've been at more events on this with the governor than just about anything, because while our federal government absolutely was negligent in their response to this humanitarian crisis, we in the state of New York have stepped up, because there are more Puerto Ricans living in the state of New York almost than anywhere in the nation. And we feel they are part of our family. Some of them are in New York City, some are, as Hilda is here. Hilda, where are you? Ivira, where are you? Hilda knows many of them have found their way to Rochester and upstate cities, but particularly here in Buffalo, the warm, welcoming culture we have. These are our friends, these are our family members, these are our fellow citizens. And we're going to continue fighting. In fact, the governor is sending down even more individuals this summer to help build up resiliency. So you need to know and hopefully feel a huge sense of pride that we have undertaken far more effort and resources than even our federal government did. We did that here in the state of New York. And we talk about what we see also with respect to our federal government's management, if that's such a word, of what's going on our borders. We have been simply asking the federal government to tell us where these children are, the children who've been separated from their parents. Are they in the state of New York? Where are they? We want to help them. First they said there were 70, then they said 700, and now they're saying there may be 1,300 children who need our help. And we have big hearts here in Western New York, and I know we're going to continue to do anything we can and stand with our governor to protect them. But today is about celebrating a culture that has been part of the fabric of Buffalo since the 1800s. Don't overlook this long history. And the more we learn about it, the important it is to preserve that knowledge and those celebrations for the future. And that is why I was so delighted to see someone of London's age here, a student at School 64, for her to understand that learning English and keeping her knowledge of the Spanish language strong is important. I want to make sure that the generations of children who grow up here are bilingual, who understand the value and the traditions of family and hard work. That is what has made Buffalo great. The Hispanic community is what has made Buffalo great. And together, we're going to continue moving forward in a great direction. Those of you who've been here all your lives, I hope you see and feel a change. But ladies and gentlemen, we are not done yet. And I'll close on one final note. I have had the privilege of working so closely with your keynote speaker. Raul Rusi has been a leader, a champion to fight for people who've fallen victim to substance abuse and addiction. And he has been working closely with Governor Cuomo and myself. And he and what Gino does here locally are incredible individuals, hometown heroes, who are helping save lives all across our state. And for that, I want to give them a special round of applause for all you do. Thank you. So as I continue my journeys around the state of New York, it is always so heartwarming to come back to Buffalo and see people that I've grown up with for the last 25 years in public service, and for giving me the privilege to serve you. I just want to say thank you. I never take for granted the work that you've allowed me to do, and also in partnership with your great elected officials like Councilmember David Rivera, who's here. What a great friend you've been since my days in as the county clerk's office. We worked very, very closely together, and you've made sure I've walked the neighborhoods and seen the streets and what's going on in the various corridors. We still need a little extra help. We're not finished yet, and I understand Councilmember Golombek may be here and other elected officials, but I wanted to say, I want to say thank you. I want to say muchas gracias. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you have done for me, but also preserving the incredibly amazing culture known as Hispanic heritage. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We really appreciate you coming here. I know you have a busy day today, so we appreciate your time. At this moment, we'd like to show our own appreciation to our fellow compañeros in the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York. They are dedicated, hardworking, and fun people that give their own personal time. This is a total volunteer service. It's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you.
We would also like to ask and acknowledge the two people we consider friends and ambassadors of the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York. If we could please give them a round of applause. We don't have their names on there.
Actually, if we can have all the directors stand so you can see where they're at, because they're everywhere right now. So it's all directors of the Hispanic Heritage Council, please stand. Those are the people that work really hard. And we also would like to give a warm thank you to our videographer, Mark Odian, who's back here somewhere. Where's Mark? Thank you, Mark. Hector Pagan, our photographer. They are true ambassadors for us in the Hispanic Heritage Council and good friends, and we appreciate you. We also appreciate DJ James Minter. We also call him DJ Vertigo. He's hiding over here. We want to thank them for their time today. Thank you. So at this time, we would like to acknowledge other dignitaries that happen to be here joining us for our annual fundraising breakfast. I don't know if they're here, but I am going to list them, and there are going to be more that we'll mention later. So if I don't say you right away, I apologize, but we'll get back to you. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz.
Mayor Byron Brown, Ms. Griselle Davis from the New York State Comptroller's Office, Majority Leader of Erie County Legislators April Baskin, Legislator Barbara Miller Williams, Common Council President Reverend Darius Pridgeon, Common Council Member David Rivera, Common Council Member Joseph Golombek Jr.
Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. The Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York, alongside many other organizations and individuals in Buffalo and the Western New York region, were called to action by the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. This community came together like no other in the state of New York to support our family members and friends in La Isla de Borinquen who struggled through a severe lack of resources and assistance.
Please refer to your programs. We would like to thank Lucy Candelario. Where is she? If she can raise her hand, please. We want to acknowledge her for a moment. If I can get a round of applause. Please thank you, Lucy, for providing your detailed report to the funds and goods of the items collected in the Hurricane Maria relief effort. Lucy and her staff at the Bell Center use the Bell Center as a hub, as a grassroots effort to collect items and much needed supplies to the island of Puerto Rico after the disaster. Lucy, we want to thank you for all of your hard work and your staff. Michelle and I are so grateful for your work. And we would also like to congratulate Lucy for her recent New York State Women of Distinction Award recognized by the New York State Senate.
As we approach the one-year anniversary of this tragic yet historical event, we want to ask that you never forget those still in need. Hurricane season has arrived, and there are many people in need of our continued compassion, kindness, and support. So at this time, please join Samantha and I in a moment of silence in remembrance of those who suffered and who were lost as a result of Hurricane Maria.
A recent Harvard study released that close to 5,000 people may have died because of Hurricane Maria, and I felt their souls and spirits with that. Thank you so much, Ricardo Sayed, for that beautiful note. Gracias. At this time, we would like to welcome Reverend Alberto Lanzot Pastor Primera de la Iglesia Metodista for the invocation.
Good morning. Buenos días. Dios le bendiga. Mi nombre es Alberto Lanzot. Soy de la iglesia, Primera Iglesia Metodista Unida. Ahora es Community Church Jehovah Jireh. It's a bilingual Hispanic church, 62 Virginia Street. And I give thanks for this gathering and thanks for inviting me to be part of this. The Bible talks about, la Biblia habla in Psalm 133, mirad cuán bueno y cuán delicioso es habitar los hermanos juntos en armonía. The Bible talks about, look how wonderful and gracious it is when sisters and brothers could just congregate in harmony. And we are here in harmony. And then it goes on to say, luego dice, that it is like the blessing upon Aaron's head, coming down the beard and coming down the feet. Es como la bendición que está sobre la cabeza de Aarón, bajando por la barba y bajando por los pies. That's symbolically is saying that the blessing is not only on us, that we are leaving a heritage for the people. Our blessing is to bless those that are coming behind us. La bendición de nosotros no es para nosotros, es para dejar un legado, para dejar lo que nosotros estamos haciendo hoy en día. Y yo quiero que ustedes se den un aplauso. I want you to give yourself a hand for all that you do and all that you're doing in our community. Lo que están haciendo en nuestra comunidad. Y aquí yo sé que no solamente hay puertorriqueños. I know that there's not only Puerto Ricans. We have Dominicans, Dominicanos. That's Hispanic heritage. Colombianos, Colombians. We have the Central Americans and the South Americans. Son Sudamericano y Centroamericano. And so I want to also celebrate them and all that they do with us. Can you celebrate them with me? ¿Pueden celebrarlo conmigo? And now I will ask you to stand. Por favor, póngase de pie. And we will pray. Y vamos a orar. I want to thank the Hispanic Heritage Council for inviting me once again, Casimiro Rodriguez, and all the people that work with him and under him and through him. Y quiero darle gracias a ustedes por invitarme. Let us pray. Father, we praise you, we bless you, we magnify you. We give you thanks for all that you do and all that you do. Thank you, God, because you are a God of love and of compassion and of power. And you are a God of presence, and you are in the midst of us. And we thank you for that. We thank you that even though through Maria and through the devastation, God, people have stood up and said, we are here to help you through your power and through your majesty. We help them, people, because you have helped us to help them. Padre, te damos gloria, te damos honra, te damos loor por tu amor y por tu misericordia. Te pedimos, mi Señor, aleluya, que tú sigas bendiciéndonos para que así nosotros podemos seguir bendiciendo a otros. Aún en medio de María, en medio de la devastación, Padre Celestial, que pasó esa isla. Padre, tú nos has ayudado a nosotros para poder ayudar a otros. Y por eso te damos gloria, te damos honra, te damos loor. Ahora pedimos, mi Señor, aleluya, por cada uno de estas personas que están aquí, que la bendición tuya esté con ellos, que la cobertura tuya esté con ellos y que tú estés, aleluya, guiándolo y dirigiéndolo en todo lo que ellos van a hacer y quieren hacer. And Father, I just ask that your covering, that your blessing, that your arms of compassion and of love be upon this gathering and be with us in a mighty way. Be in our conversation, be in our fellowship, and be in all that we do. We praise you, we bless you, we magnify you in the name of Jesus. En el nombre de Jesús te lo pedimos. Amen and amen, amen. God bless you guys.
All right, so at this point, we want to make sure that we acknowledge all our guests today. We're very happy to have Lieutenant Governor Mary Hochul representing Andrew Cuomo, our governor.
Congressman Brian Higgins, City Controller Mark Schroeder, Common Council President Darius G. Pridgeon,
Common Council Member David Rivera, Common Council Member Joseph Golombek, Assembly Member Sean Ryan, Assembly Member Crystal D. People-Stokes.
New York State Senator Timothy Kennedy, Ms. Grisel Davis, New York State Comptroller Office, D. Napoli, Majority Leader of Erie County Legislator April Baskin, Legislator Barbara Miller Williams, Erie County Clerk Christopher L. Jacobs.
Chairman of the Erie County Conservative Party, Mr. Lorigo, Business Executive Russell Gugino, Superintendent of Schools, if you're here, we thank you. Buffalo, I know who she's here, Buffalo Board of Education member Sharon Belton-Cotman. We want to specifically thank Ms. Cotman for helping us secure the David Caban Auditorium dedication at Herman Badillo School number 6, so thank you very much.
Buffalo Public School officials. Erie County District Attorney John Flynn, Hispanic Heritage Council's own legal counsel and great friend, Arnold Zellman, Esquire.
Still have a list. Raul Rusi, President and CEO of Acacia Network, and we're going to hear from him in a minute. Gino Rusi, Executive Director of Hispanos Unidos de Buffalo. Lucy Candelario, Executive Director of the Bell Center. Oswaldo Mestre, Director of Citizen Services for Buffalo.
Damone Smith, Director of the Buffalo Employment and Training Center. Special recognition to all the artists that have donated their beautiful talents and time to support the Hispanic Heritage Council. Please stand.
Oh, artists, stand. That's special. Where are you, artists?
If you see these beautiful pieces of work of art that have been donated out in the back left of the room, they have dedicated their time, their talents to help fund for this wonderful organization. If you haven't yet filled out your auction, please do so now.
We also want to thank Honorable Judge McLeod, who's here, Honorable Judge Sharon Milvallo, Honorable Judge Deanne Trippi. We already said those? Mm-hmm.
This list just keeps going. There's a lot of people that love us and support us. Thank you for that. And a big thank you to all of the table sponsors.
There's a page in there. We'll get to that later.
Okay, and our signature sponsors, M&T Bank, Goya Foods, Independent Health, Dr. Lavone Asnari, Executive Director of the Community Health Center.
Erie County Clerk, Mickey Kearns, Erie County Comptroller, Stefan Mahailu, the Mayor of Dunkirk, Mayor Willie Rosas. Oh, we want to recognize the BPS teachers sponsored by Goya, the Puerto Rico teachers from Puerto Rico that came to BPS. Where are you? Where's that table? There it is. Don't be shy. There's our wonderful transplants from Puerto Rico.
David Esquire Rodriguez, Elisa Morales, Executive Director of La Liga de Syracuse, Hilda Esker, SEO Iberio, Rochester, New York, Dan Hart, Robin Parkinson, Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra.
And last but not least, and I'm sure it's not last, Morris Oring, gave you a Spanish name, Morris. Morris Oring, President of Fleet Home Care. Thank you all, and I know we didn't mention, and we will find a way to mention you if we did not already. So thank you so much, all of you, for your support.
Okay, again, I'm going to mention that art auction. Again, they're to the back left of the room. If you could please take a look at that time, perhaps when you're eating in between break. They're beautiful pieces of art that usually run for $500+, but you can start a bid at $100 tonight. ¿Tienen hambre? ¿Han comidos? ¿Desayunados? Porque vamos a comer ahora. If you're hungry, it's time for breakfast. If you could, William Rios, if you can raise your hand, please. ¿Dónde está? He is going to call the tables one by one to make sure we all get our tummies filled. Que disfruten.
But before we get our tables called, or while you're calling tables, I'd like to first thank my friend, Adriana Greason. Is she here today? Is she here? No. Well, we want to thank her because she was the one that sponsored, she's the owner of La Divina Mexican Store, and she also sponsored our next musical delight. They are Mariachi Zelaya Huepa. Thank you, Mariachi Zelaya.
así te vas a quedar. Con dinero y sin dinero, hago siempre lo que quiero y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie que me comprenda, pero sigo siendo el rey. Una piedra en el camino me enseñó que mi destino era rodar y rodar.
Rodar y rodar, rodar y rodar.
También me dijo un arriero que no hay que llegar primero, pero hay que saber llegar. Con dinero y sin dinero, hago siempre lo que quiero y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie que me comprenda, pero sigo siendo el rey. Uy, ah. Negrita de mis pesares, ojos se rompen volando, negrita de mis pesares, ojos se rompen volando, a todos diles que sí, pero no me digas cuando así me dijiste a mí, ahora sigo penando. Tú me traes a minera que la quiero ver aquí, con su rebozo de seda que le traje de mí. Cuando me traes a minera que la quiero ver aquí, con su rebozo de seda que le traje de mí. Sí, señor. Gracias, gracias. Ladies and gentlemen, ¿cuál era la otra? Celito Lindo. morena, cielito lindo vienen bajando. Compartió quitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Ese lunar que tiene, cielito lindo con toda la boca. No se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra el cielito lindo, los corazones. Domingo, cielito lindo te vengo a ver. Cuando sea domingo, cielito lindo para volver. De tu casa a la mía, cielito lindo no hay más que un paso. Ahora que estamos solos, cielito lindo, dame un abrazo. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra el cielito lindo, los corazones.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Aquí le va.
Entrega total. Entrega total.
Ya no soporto la terrible soledad. Yo no te pongo condición, harás conmigo lo que quiera, bien o mal. Llévame, de ser posible, hasta la misma eternidad, donde perdure nuestro amor, porque tú eres toda mi felicidad. Llévame si quieres hasta el fondo del dolor, hazlo como quiera, por maldad o por amor, pero esta vez quiero entregarme a ti una forma total, no con un beso nada más, harás conmigo lo que quiera, bien o mal.
Muchas gracias. San Juan, cuántos años forjé de mi noche de infancia, mi primera ilusión y mi cuentas de amor son recuerdo de mi alma. Una tarde me fui a esa extraña nación, no lo quiso el destino, pero mi corazón se quedó frente al mar en mi viejo San Juan. Adiós, 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 Origen, querida de mi amor. Adiós, 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 mi diosa del mar. Me voy, pero un día volveré a buscar mi querer, a soñar otra vez en mi viejo San Juan. Pero el tiempo pasó y el destino burló mi terrible nostalgia y no pude volver a ese Juan que llamé pedacito de patria. Mi cabello blanqueó y a mi vida se va, hoy la muerte me llama y no quiero morir alejado de ti, Puerto Rico de mi alma.
However, I wanted to thank everyone for taking time out of their family life on a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday, to be with us this morning. This event is very special to our council and to our community. It's a one-year event in which we not only celebrate our organization, the accomplishments, and the objectives that we have before us in the coming year, but to also recognize folks that have made significant contributions to our community. Our keynote speaker is no stranger to the city of Buffalo. And our tradition as an organization is that we pick a keynote speaker that was part of our community at one time, moved away, and continues to contribute in their areas of profession where they live or currently live. But this gentleman, his bio, an excerpt of the bio is in the program, but if you'd like to see a more detailed and extensive outline of his bio, you can find it on our webpage, HispanicHeritageWNY.org. The roots regarding our keynote speaker go way back. Let me say a little story. His parents and my parents came here in the early 1950s. The band began back in our hometown of Patillas, Puerto Rico. His parents, like my parents, did not know a word of English, not much education. But they came just like many others, exploring a new frontier, which was the city of Buffalo. That band began back in our hometown of Patillas, Puerto Rico, and that band continues to flourish and prosper with the relationships that we have built with Hispanics United of Buffalo and the Hispanic Heritage Council and the community at large. It is my privilege and my honor to present to you our keynote speaker of the day, Raul Rusi. It's all yours.
Wow. You know, I've spoken in a lot of places, and most times I do it fairly easy and I don't get nervous. but I got to admit today that I'm a little nervous coming home. First, I want to talk a little bit about Acacia, and I want to share a little story that connects what Acacia is today with Apiadero and Patillas, because there would not be this great, phenomenal organization called Acacia if it wasn't for what Cass just said. The bonds that we and our families gave us back in the mountain towns of Patilla. Today, when you look at, and you can look on the website, acacianetwork.org, you're gonna find the largest Puerto Rican founded, Puerto Rican led organization in the nation. The largest in the nation. Not only is that, but if you look at, if you take away the hospitals and entities that are connected to government, it's probably the largest Hispanic organization in the nation, with $600 million of revenue and over $1 billion in assets. The organization is a network, and it's a bonding network of 74 affiliates, of which I would say 90% were founded by Latinos. Most recently, we found that the other entities, which is a great thing, want to join us. Most recently, we brought together an organization called CEDCO. CEDCO was the organization that the mayor of New York used to fund resources after 9/11. And it gave away almost $1 billion in resources. And it went into hard times, and it started to implode. And it was down to $4 million, and they came to us and said, we heard that Acacia Network is great at building organizations. So could you do us a favor and take us on to see if you could rebuild us? So we said, of course, we're from Buffalo. We know how to rebuild, right? Look around this. This is where I learned it. So we took the organization 3 years ago, and now what was a $4 million organization is a $12 million organization, right? We just got a $6 million grant from the federal government. It's being turned around as we speak today. Puerto Rican-led, Latino-led organization, going beyond its boundaries now. The organization has offices obviously in the heart of the South Bronx, and that's where I work. When I was a police officer here in Buffalo, my partner Joe Ransford, who many of you knew, and I, as we were roaming the streets here in Buffalo, we said one day, cops want to go where the crime is. If you're a crime fighter, you want to go where the crime is. Right, Jimmy McLeod? Jimmy McLeod, he's my good friend, the judge who I've known since I was a young officer, he was a young defendant, public defendant, and I was giving him a lot of clients, right? and so we wanted something that every officer, I wanted to go to the Bronx. I want to be in the South Bronx because I know that's where crime really happens, and I want to go there, right? And Joe and I would dream about that. Well, now I'm in the South Bronx fighting crime, but not the way that I did when I was a police officer. Now we do it with this phenomenal organization that provides 4,000 units of housing to homeless families, the largest homeless provider in New York City, led by a Puerto Rican organization. We have the largest development company, right, in New York City, led by Latinos. We are in the middle of 7 projects of well over 2,000 units of affordable housing, led by Acacia Network, a Puerto Rican-led organization, in the heart of the city. We have been recognized for the energy and the strength and the growth by all the developers in New York City. We were just honored this week at the National Housing Conference for that. So we provide homeless housing, affordable housing, supportive housing. When an individual graduates from a treatment program, nobody will allow them into their house, right? We provide that housing. When there was an HIV crisis, there was no place for somebody to go and die that had AIDS. They couldn't even go a place to die in peace. There was no nursing home that would take a single person. Acacia Network built the first nursing home specifically for AIDS victims, the only one in the nation. That's a Puerto Rican-led organization. When the organizations across New York and across the United States, Latino organizations began to implode because of revenue from the federal government began to end, Acacia Network decided to do a different plan. The plan was not to depend on a sole source of dollars, and also to have a central governing organization. And I'm going to tell you where I learned that, because I learned that right here in Buffalo. And we created that central organization. The next thing you know, every time a Latino organization would have problems, they would call us, we would step in, we began to centralize these organizations, and those 74 organizations today were joined just this past week by another great Latino organization, La Liga, and Syracuse is now part of Acacia Network. And Elisa Morales is here, the Executive Director, Wade. All right, there she is, our new affiliation in Syracuse. So we are now in Syracuse. Obviously, Mayor Willie Rosa is here. We know we're going to be in Dunkirk very short. We're working in Dunkirk, Buffalo, Albany, New York City, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, and Puerto Rico. How was that for a Puerto Rican organization? So this great organization, which I am this humble person from Apiadero, Patilla, and from here in Buffalo, leads, is this phenomenal organization led by Puerto Rican staff, Puerto Rican board, now across Latino board, because the board is very much more complex than that. We've affiliated with the only Dominican organization in New York City is part of the Acacia affiliates. African American organizations part of the affiliate structure. And I could go through this and we will be here for a little while. I don't want to do that. But I just wanted to share with you the strength of this organization that has been created, and the bonds to that organization started here. And I wanted to share that with you now. In 1957, Armando Rusi, my father, was sent a letter by my grandfather who said, your family, your kids, at that time your 6 kids are here in Apiadero, and you need to think about sending them some plane tickets because things here are really rough. So he did that. You know, Puerto Rico, as you know, has this interesting relationship with the United States. I sit here and I watch that young girl pledge allegiance to the United States. We sing with honor the national anthem. We're proud American citizens. But since 1917, when that thing called citizenship was, I've been having a real hard time saying what it was, because it was kind of imposed on the people at the time. It wasn't like Puerto Ricans were saying, make us citizens. Somebody came in and says, bless, you're all citizens. And I look at the border today, right? The people are struggling and fighting to come across the border. And I think there's a whole island where somebody just waved their hand and said, citizens. Now, why did they do that? Well, we all know there was a little war coming in 1918, and there was a lot of young Puerto Rican people in Puerto Rico that could be drafted. And about 30 seconds after we were getting the citizenship, we got the draft notice. And my grandfather was one of the ones that got that draft notice. And he went into the military, he was injured, and he got a little pension. And that little pension is what saved us, because there was no money in Puerto Rico. Our farm was a beautiful farm. It had every kind of vegetable there that you could possibly imagine, but there was no money. The only money that people made were in the sugarcane fields. And I don't know if you ever saw somebody after they came out of the sugarcane field, because you know they burned the sugarcane before they cut it, right? So you can imagine that those men, including my father, would go into the sugarcane fields with their machetes to cut down the sugarcane. They came out with black lung, all that ash from the sugarcane. So my father said, that ain't me. I'm not doing that anymore. And first he took off with the owner's daughter, which was my mother. Laureano Pagan shot a couple of shotgun shells at his butt on the way out, right? And he took off, and but he took her to the mountains of Apiadero, and 6 kids later, right? and then he headed off to the United States, migrated throughout the United States, several states, working in the farms and everything else, and then eventually landed here in Buffalo, at Bethlehem Steel, right? Working in the foundries. Now, you know what working in the foundries of Bethlehem Steel was? They would walk into these furnaces, loaded with bricks, and then they would pour the ore in there, and they'd burn it, and then if it was done, they pour it out, and then the chippers, as they were called, will go inside those brick ovens, and they would chip away at what was the slag that was left over. So you know what my father looked like coming out of work? Exactly the way he looked at when he was in Puerto Rico, except he got paid, and he had $1, and he could make a family. He took care of his family. And so he brought us on April 17, 1957. And I remember on that plane, there was a couple other families that still live in Buffalo. We all came together. And we got, that day when we arrived, our apartment wasn't ready, so it took us over to Riley Avenue. And I met the first of the leaders of this community, Ana Cotón. Ana Cotón, you're loud. Ana Cotón, yes, you all know, created the first seniors programs. Until the day she died, she loved their seniors. And she was a relative of my family. And we went to her house on Riley Avenue and slept there that night. It was my first day in Buffalo. Then the next day, my father took us to Lackawanna. And we went to Primitivo's house. And we connected. Why? Because they were from Patilla. Doña Petra y Don Primo, as they were known. It was a place that we would visit every weekend. Every weekend we would go there. A family went to church in Lackawanna, and those were my father's connections in Lackawanna. And then we started visiting other families in Buffalo. We found out that there were families spotted all over the city, and my father wanted to connect us con Don Jorge y Doña Elena on Australia Street, right? They were the other family. They were the best musicians I've ever heard, the most musical family in the history of any city. And I want to applaud them because they were phenomenal, and I know that their daughter is here, and I think other members of the family. And then we met the mayor of Buffalo, and I'm not talking to the mayor of the city, the real mayor, Pucho Olivencia, right? Pucho was the mayor of Buffalo. He walked around like his son does today. Chiro, where are you? Chiro, like he walks around today as the mayor of Buffalo. There's nobody that knows Pucho. There's obviously nobody that doesn't know Chiro. And I began to meet Pucho's friends, Rafael Hernandez, right? Juan Texidor, Rafael Rodriguez. And all of a sudden, we could see this community, this family that was us. And then I realized that there was this, near our west side, there was another group of people that were coming together and making. I think there was a little competition between the west side and east side. And on the west side, there was Isaias Gonzalez, right? And Isaias Gonzalez was the mayor of the west side, right? And he was an unbelievable leader. And the next thing you know, I began to see other folks floating around. There was a sales guy that used to go around, and his name was Pejin Otero. Pejin would visit all the houses. Almost every Sunday, we'll walk around to all the houses. And then I found out there was another group on the west side that were starting to build this organization, little organization called Estudia. And, they were trying to begin, right? Right, Ventura? To begin to put that educational piece together, right? Down there, that would now be called Herman Badillo. That happened in an organization called Estudia. And it was led by Isaias Gonzalez, Carmen Rodriguez, and a bunch of other leaders. Pucho had his group, Pedro Maura, right? Chiro Carrasquillo, right? Chepe Carrasquillo. These were groups, these were men and women all out there working together to make this organization. And me, a young man, coming together around them, I was excited, but I was a teenager, right? Went to St. Anthony School right here. You're right, not a word of English, walked into that classroom. The only person that I could see that looked like me was a kid named William Del Valle, right? And William became my interpreter and my friend. And for a moment, the possibility that I would not be here today, because William had a heroin addiction real early in his life. And my father recognized that, and he knew how close we were, and he took us out of there to South Buffalo. And we ended up under the torches of the mobile refinery, right? Living in a little shack house. So the next thing you know, we have a little construction company. And Rujan, you know Rujan and Lisa, he asked us to do some work on his roof. So we start working on the roof, and the next thing you know, the city inspector shows up. And the city inspector says, you don't have a permit to do this job, right? I said, permit? What permit, you know? He says, you need a permit. You need to have a license. You need to be a licensed contractor. You need to be, you know, licensed by the city. So I said, okay. He says, you can't stop the job. So I go to Pucho, who lived down the street, and I said, Pucho, they're telling me I need this guy. He says, come on, let's go to City Hall. Mayor Cedillo was there, right? And then I walked into the mayor's office, and Pucho walks in, and he said, the mayor then was running for county executive, and he says to the mayor, you know, I just came back from North Collins. We were out there recruiting, you know, getting votes for you, getting petitions. I'm in Hamburg. I'm all over the place because you're my mayor. You're the guy that I want to win. And this young man here, he's been working with me out there all over the place, working all day, right? But, you know, he's got to feed his kids and his father, and he needs a license to do some construction work because you're doing little side jobs to make a living. So he goes down Sam Sacco, and he says, Sam, get up here. And Sam comes strolling up, big burly guy. He's the head of the Department of Licenses. And he says to Sam, Sam, this kid needs a license to do contracting work. And Sam says, well, he has to do an apprenticeship first. He has to go and work with a contractor somewhere, and then, you know, he can be a contractor. And the mayor looks at Sam, he says, did your son-in-law do an apprentice before he got his license? And Sam says, come on with me. And I went downstairs, right, filled out an application. I was in the reserves at the time. I went on my weekend thing. I came back Monday. My certificate was in the mail. Pucho Limensa was a hero in this community. Today I'm building multi-million-dollar buildings, right? At that day, I didn't even have a certificate to nail a roof. There's another story about the first roof. It didn't go so well. You got to know how to put a roof before you start putting up a roof. But the reality is that those people, the Isaias, the Rafael, all the people I talked to, I know that I missed hundreds because there were like 30, 40 families connected here, all well connected, who were just really doing unbelievable things at an unbelievable time. And I saw these organizations begin to go. There were organizations, Alianza, right? The Catholic Church group that built that one together. And then there was the Puerto Rican Cultural Center on the east side. And there was PRACA, the Puerto Rican American Organization. They were all coming together, slowly being built by these leaders. And then the next thing, the young whippersnappers from the University of Buffalo showed up, right? They came from New York City to the University of Buffalo, and they started forming the Puerto Rico Chicano Committee of Bill. I didn't like them very much. They were outsiders coming into us in Buffalo, but you know, we became brothers and friends and brothers in arms over time. Even my sister joined that little group for a while. My sister Lisa was here today. And these organizations, PRACA, La Alternativa, the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, Estudia, and they were all trying to fight for their little crumbs to make the organizations grow. And then we realized that we had to find a different way. And then the CETA monies came along. And a young man that I met then, I knew his father, but I didn't know him, Gilbert Hernandez. Gilbert worked at City Hall with me, and he was working for the mayor's, the Office of Community Management or Manpower. And he told me about this grant, the CETA thing that was going to come. And he said, but we can't go 6 organizations. We got to find a way to come together. And we created the Consortium of Spanish-Speaking Organizations. And we went after that grant. We did, James, I know you're a judge, so you might want to close your eyes. But we did do a little something that wasn't quite right. You know, Gilbert snuck the urban lease proposal to me, and we changed the names of everything we could, right, to make sure that we could pass. And then we went in, and then we got Lillian Malavé from the University of Buffalo and a couple other professors, because we needed writers, because we couldn't write, because we couldn't, we barely speak English, right? So we wrote this grant and we got $1.5 million from the senior grant in 1972. Unbelievable, right? And we created, but the organizational structure was weak because it left the power in the community organization. The central, the consortium had no power. So basically, the fight started all over again, tearing each other apart outside. So wow, that didn't work so well. We created it, we didn't run it, we lost it. 15 years to survive and it disappeared. And then, so Gilbert and I and Pucho and David Rivera and Andy Garcia and all the leaders that were part of all these organizations didn't give up. We said, we got to find a way to bring these organizations together. Because every time we go out there and we split a dime, we get 2 pennies apiece, right? So this doesn't work. So while I was in the police department, we were working on that, I got shot. As many of you know, I was shot in line of duty, and I was in the hospital bed. And I remember that one thing that mayors love is taking pictures with fallen cops. You want to get mayor excited? Tell him there's a police officer shot at the hospital. He's over there taking his picture, right? So there he is, little Mayor Jimmy Griffin, standing next to me, who I didn't like very much, taking his picture. So, he took his picture, he went on his way. The next day, Jose Pizarro walks in the door and he says, Raul, they're going to close our 3 organizations. The mayor is upset at us for political reasons, and he's going to take all the money. I need you to talk to the mayor to please give us our money. So the next time the mayor showed up with the photographer, I said to the photographer, could you wait a minute? I need to talk to the mayor for a second. So I said to the mayor, Mr. Mayor, you can't do that. These 3 organizations, that's all they have. And he said, well, they're not on my side. I said, I thought they were on the side of trying to help people. He said, well, they're not on my side. I don't care about anything else. You're on my side or you're not. And I said, Mr. Mayor, I'm on your side. He says, okay, they can have the money. And he gave the $20,000. But you got to remember one thing, that it was sad for me that day, that you had to be laying in the hospital, shot up, to beg this little guy to give you money for the community. I said, that cannot stand. And then we all got together as I came out, and we began to do 2 things that are super important, and I love the crowd today. I love what you have today. I want to congratulate you, because this is what you need to make change, and you should give yourself a hand, because this is power, what you have right here today, and you need to use that power. We decided that it was time to find a way to come together again. So for 2 years, right, David? We worked glove in hand every day, going to Duval College to find a way to bring us together. David Rivera, who's here today, was the first president of the board of Hispanic United of Buffalo, and I want to thank him because he was part of that from the beginning to end. Johnny Sanabria, who every day, every Saturday, instead of being here, we were at Duval College or the United Way or a hub, making that thing happen, right? For 2 years. Peleita, el nombre, que hacemos, no hacemos, que tú tienes poder, que yo no tengo poder, que tú tienes esto, que yo no... All that nonsense, right? We fought through all that to create Hispanic United Buffalo. What did I learn from that? That if you have a central government strong like the U.S., right? That you can have an organization. So we created these 3 organizations. HUB would be the program organization, right? The Puerto Rican Cultural Center would be the cultural. The Puerto Rican Center would be, PRACA would become the cultural center. And then we will have a Hispanic management company that will hold the assets for the corporation. So you know what Acacia has today? That model which I learned here in this city, with these friends of mine, with their parents who came from Puerto Rico to build the organization that I have today. It started here, it started with these people, they taught me how to do it, and we have a great organization in New York City, Center of New York City, now across, because HUB now is part of the affiliate. Because of you, Janet Sanabria. Because of you, David Rivera. Because of you, everyone that was in those group, and the people who kept it going on from there on out. It started here. It started here. I am so honored and proud that you have invited me to come here today. and speak about these things because so easy to forget, right? It's so easy to forget. It's so easy to tell people the story. I have a chief of staff that was, I think, calling me about something, and she tells me, don't let them rewrite your story. Don't let people rewrite your story. You write your story. When we were trying to get ourselves politically together, we created the Western New York Hispanic and Friends, and we put together a group. At one time, almost as large as this, they have the politicians come through us and talk to us and explain what we're going to do, so then we could support them if they needed support and not support them if they didn't do what we needed to do, right? Well, I want to tell you two little stories about that because I think these are stories that need to be told so you can remember how we got there. So one day, Paul Wolsey, myself, and Andy Garcia were at Duval College trying to keep our little bodies in shape, working out in the gym. And I saw an article in the paper that Judge Sims then was going to be removed from the bench. And so I said, the mayor is not going to appoint an African American. Jimmy Griffin was not going to do it. And I knew it. I said, Johnny's laughing already. He knows his story. We maybe can figure out a way to get a Latino in there, right? So we came up with a plan. Here's the plan. Andy Garcia, who had the connections to the mayor, will go to the mayor and say that he was going to tell him that if he appointed a Puerto Rican, he was going to start a fight between the African Americans and Puerto Ricans, and that would be to his benefit. The Puerto Ricans would go to the mayor, the African Americans not. And the mayor loved that story right away. So we needed to appoint a Puerto Rican to the mayor. So the mayor loves this, says, okay, I'm going to do it. So I go to Joe Krangle, and I said, Joe, the mayor's going to start a fight between the Puerto Ricans and us and the Democratic Party, because I'm appointing Puerto Rican, hoping to start a fight. You cannot let that happen. As soon as the mayor appoints, you got to come out and say, we're supporting Raul Figueroa. Then I went to R3, and I said to R3, the mayor's going to try to start a fight between us. He's going to say that, appointed Puerto Rican for a seat that at that time everybody thought was going to be our African American seat. I want you to say that the minority is a minority, that a Puerto Rican, African American, that we're brothers in arms, and there's nothing will separate us. And the minute the mayor appoints it, I want you to be the first one to come out and say your support Raul Figueroa, because as far as he was concerned, it was as good an African American, and that was it. And then the mayor did his deed, right? And exactly was planned. The morning that as soon as the mayor made his announcement, R3 went on the radio and said, it doesn't make any difference. It's not going to split us. And then Joe Krangle said, we're going to support Raul Figueroa, no more primaries, and off we went. First Puerto Rican elected to office outside of New York City, right here in Buffalo, New York, and it was planned by Puerto Ricans to make that happen. You got to be smart about the political system. If you don't understand how the game is played, you will be left out, completely left out. Later on, as we begin to have a little power, we were at the Puerto Rican Center, and we're doing interviews for the elected officials, and R3 shows up with the group of candidates that he had. It was called United Group or Unity, Unity, right? Unity Group. And he wanted to run all the candidates, R3, and Bell, for whom the bell tolls. Remember that little campaign? And he wanted us to come out and support that whole group. So I said to Art, DFY, Department of Youth, is taking the money from then Hub, that was Puerto Rican Chicano, and we want that money back. And you, Leonard Dustin, and you are good friends. And all you got to do is pick up the phone, and we're going to get our money. And if that happens, then you got our support. He says, I want it today. I said, no, we'll vote next week. Monday morning, I'll be in your office, and we're going to make that phone call. And if the phone call is positive, then Saturday we'll be back here. And Johnny, Sanabria, and Puchito, and we're all going to be with you, united. If they don't, then we're going to do what we got to do. So Monday morning, I'm in the office with R3. He makes a phone call to Leonard Dustin's, $75,000 immediately to PRCC. Next Saturday, we voted to join the Unity team. So the reality is that the power is in your decision, you being able to connect, to have this unified group of people working together. It's all right you support different candidates. It doesn't make any difference. The idea is you have a common purpose and a common goal. all the way. And to me, that's the difference between communities that succeed and communities that fail. I had the pleasure of working with giants. I had the honor of working with giants. The people that you talk about, the people that you recognize, the people that you will build statues to, the Pucho Vivencias, the Isaí Gonzalez, the one Texidor, they were my giants. I heard it, I saw a movie somewhere where, I think it was in Egypt, where the storyteller said, I walk with giants. Let me tell you, I walk with giants. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a couple of things that our keynote speaker had to say. And the sole purpose of our organization, the council, is to preserve that history. And if you walk or you drive down the Niagara Street corridor of Avenida San Juan, the Hispanic Heritage District, you're able to appreciate that history. It's documented. It's on banners, it's on wayfinding signs, it's on timelines, and it's on the historical information that's located on the different corners of Niagara, Maryland, and Niagara and Jersey. So if you get an opportunity, please take your walk. Raul, come up 1 minute. We'd like to give him a token of appreciation, and that is a buffalo. We do this that have left Buffalo but have stayed in Buffalo. Their heart is still in Buffalo through their works. Raul, on behalf of HHC and this community, we appreciate you, we appreciate your family and everything that you have done to be able to move our community here in the city of Buffalo forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to I mentioned just a minute ago, thank you guys. This means really a lot to me. And what I'm going to tell you next, I'll tell you why. While I was up here, the phone rang a couple of times, right? My chief of staff was calling me. The reason that my chief of staff was calling me because FEMA has decided they will no longer support the families from Puerto Rico. And that they are now being put out of the shelters in New York City. So as I was standing here, my chief of staff told me that we're getting 90 to 100 families into our shelters, Puerto Rican families, so we can take care of them. And it tells you that what Acacia is, a place where we can land, but it also tells you what's going on in Puerto Rico. And we need to be educated because this is a struggle about what that little girl is saying, about who we are as citizens and what rights we have and what we deserve. And if we don't stand up for that, then those families will not be the last that will be thrown out of shelter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not anyone leave a program, the best is yet to come. Our MCs.
Okay, thank you again. We appreciate the stories. I can't wait. We need to sit down and have like a real talk. There's lots of stuff I need to learn. So thank you again.
The Hispanic Heritage Council of West New York, we're not just busy during Hispanic Heritage Month. We're pushing initiatives throughout the year, helping to benefit our Latino community and uniting our community as a whole. Right now, we're going to toss to a video that highlights what we've been doing during this year.
The mission of the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York is to foster and inspire awareness, understanding, and appreciation of past, present, and future contributions of the Hispanic community in Western New York. Since its inception in 2010, under the leadership of Casimiro Rodriguez, its board of directors has lived up to the true meaning of its mission. It continues to lead, creating and supporting the promotion of the Hispanic community and its contributions to Western New York's rich historical and cultural heritage. With their offices at the Buffalo and Erie County Central Library and being the recipients of the 2017 Daniel B. Niederlander Award, their efforts and commitment to making the Hispanic Heritage District the gateway to America, a welcoming attraction that everyone can be proud, finally came to fruition this past year with its ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Puerto Rican and Hispanic Day Parade. Partnering with the Albright Knox Art Gallery, the Rich Family Foundation, and M&T Bank, the display of art authored by muralist Betsy Casana portrays deep Latin roots, interpretive signage, decorative lampposts, wayfinding signs, and banners celebrating local and national Hispanic heroes. The verdant clock that sits proudly in front of Niagara Cafe and the archways define the boundaries of their community and the stretch of Avenida San Juan. More is planned in the way of art, the historic milestone in naming of the Niagara Branch Library in honor of one of its pioneers, and a dream of a museum that will someday be the home of hundreds of artifacts and collectibles that will reclaim the Hispanic story for generations to come.
Pictures now coming in from Puerto Rico after taking a direct hit. Hurricane Maria slamming into the island, and as you heard, one official saying the island is destroyed.
This past year, in addition to the many events, they partnered with Buffalo's community leaders, forming the Western New York Puerto Rico Hurricane Maria Fund Committee in support of Hurricane Maria survivors, both on the island of Puerto Rico and here locally. Thanks to M&T Bank, WKBW Channel 7, WIVB Channel 4, and the generosity of all of Western New York, thousands of pounds of materials and medical supplies was shipped, and funds raised was in excess of $220,000 to help the victims and survivors. Rodriguez spent several months on the island of Puerto Rico, making a Buffalo connection for the distribution of the well-needed funds to those most in need.
Hispanic Heritage Council also helped a lot in the local effort, trying to get the different banks and the different companies and corporations together. They helped put on telethons and raise quite a bit of money. So they were pretty instrumental in helping the effort of the group.
In support of the new education bargain, they joined Buffalo Public School officials on site in Puerto Rico for the recruitment of much-needed teachers, making it the second year that more professionals join the ranks of bilingual education in the Buffalo Public Schools. The efforts brought 12 new educators in various fields and subject matters to Buffalo.
The Hispanic Heritage Council was essential to recruiting candidates from Puerto Rico. It's not just about offering someone a job. They really need a community who will embrace their transition. The council helped by offering their homes for the winter. They were offered coats and celebration when they arrived, and I say they're still celebrating right now, because if it wasn't for the community embracing the people who came from Puerto Rico, they would not have been able to remain.
Good afternoon, I'm Samantha Martinez. You're listening to Sin Fronteras, West New York at 1.
And I'm Michelle Agosto.
On August 4th, 2017, with the help of Goya Foods, HHC launched their first bilingual radio program, Sin Fronteras Beyond Boundaries, on WUFO, 1080 AM and 96.5 FM. The program is geared to reach a larger bicultural audience to promote their mission for the community. It can be heard every Friday at 1 p.m. with hosts Samantha Martinez and Michelle Augusto.
Now stuck at the border as part of Trump.
Giving back to the community for HHC every year, one of the highlights of Hispanic Heritage Month is Salsa for a Cure. Since its inception, they have partnered with local community organizations to raise more than $12,000 for patient care services at Roswell Park. In March, the Hispanic Heritage Council was honored to dedicate the Herman Bodilla School Auditorium in honor of Dr. David Caban, a longtime teacher and advocate of bilingual education in Buffalo. In addition to the major projects, HHC continues their regular annual programs, such as Al Dia del Niño, and the multitude of other activities during Hispanic Heritage Month and throughout the year. They network with all arts and cultural organizations to bring the best out of the Queen City, celebrating diversity at its finest, forging paths toward the future that underscores the history, heritage, values, and culture of the Western New York Hispanic community for generations to come.
So is that voice familiar to you? Do you know that voice who narrated it? Yes, Eileen Buckley. She was generous to share her narration skills with us, so I'd like to give her a round of applause.
The Council is fully dependent on your support. We would like to thank our partners to help us continue march on with our mission. We would like to thank you. Please, a round of applause. We would like to thank, acknowledge the first Latina Young Miss Buffalo, Leilani Marie Montañez. Woo-hoo! The Hispanic Hurricane Relief Committee and attorney Lana Tupchik.
Can the Hurricane Committee please stand? The Hurricane Committee, could you please stand? There are several of you. We really need to give you a round of applause. Thank you for everything that you did. In addition, and we are sorry we forgot this earlier, we want to acknowledge Crystal Rodriguez. She's back there, and she not only is the Chief Diversity Officer of the City of Buffalo, but she is going to be the president of the Puerto Rican and Hispanic Day Parade this year, so we want to give her lots of love. And even more excited am I to introduce Lucas Potter, who's a Junior Grand Marshal for the Puerto Rican and Hispanic Day Parade. Can you stand up, Lucas?
We would like to acknowledge Goya Foods, an amazing sponsor who sponsors our canal side every year during Hispanic Heritage Month, and our very first sponsor for Sin Fronteras, our radio show on WUFO. Goya Foods, we'd like to acknowledge Carlos Pereira, General Manager of Goya. Where are you, Carlos?
Is he here today?
Even though he's not here, we appreciate Goya very much, especially those beautiful olive oil centerpieces we get to take home.
Yeah, so don't fight over the olive oil, all right? So give it to someone you love, spread it, well, don't spread it, don't do that. Okay. So we also, and lastly, I know we already said this, but we really just want you to know that we really are appreciative of all our signature sponsors, especially M&T Bank, Independent Health Foundation, and of course, Goya.
Now, if you reach out in front of you, I think I have one out here. The yellow cards, the informational cards. These there highlight all of the mission, what Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York stands for, and all the amazing events that we put on, not just during Hispanic Heritage Month again, but throughout the year that are free family events for our community, not just for Latinos, but bringing the community together as a whole. If you could please acknowledge those and fill out the informational forms so we can continue with our projects.
There are also donation envelopes if you would like to donate money. We take that very happily.
And because we're so busy throughout the year, we're now going to toss to a second video to continue informing you of the awesome events that we do throughout the year.
Hispanic Heritage Council had approached me a while back about naming the Niagara Branch Library after a Hispanic who had served in the community for many years. They facilitated the process now of community meetings and nominated names. After they nominated the names, they put together a selection committee that would vet the candidates. They since came up with the name of Isaiah Gonzalez. He is a pillar in the community that came here in the early parts of the century. We'll be discussing his career here in the city of Buffalo. He passed on in Florida later on. But I want to thank the Hispanic Heritage Council for doing all the work. They came to me, they put the process in place, they put the committee in place, and these are the names they came back to. So thank you very much, Cass, and the Hispanic Heritage Council. That is going to ledge for public hearing on July 17th at 2 p.m.
All right, thank you, sir. Second by Councilor President. Item 68, zoning map amendment.
Councilman David Rivera can come up and say a few words about the Niagara Library. We would appreciate it. Thank you. Please welcome Councilman David.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Heritage Council, its board of directors, its officers, its sponsors, and not only the Hispanic Heritage Council, but all the organizations that impact the quality of life of this community. And there's so many here among us that it would be unfair to begin to name them, but as I look out at the crowd, I think of something that comes to mind. With great privilege comes great responsibility. We were called to serve. Many of the things that Raul mentioned here was his service to the community. And that is something that is very important to all of us. We were taught early on to serve. There are many mentors that that are here today that influenced my life in service. I didn't start off. I was a young person when few people came to me and said, "Why don't you serve on the board?" Well, I ended up serving on the board for over 10 years and eventually served in the Buffalo Police Department. And now I have the great honor of serving the city of Buffalo and the residents of the West Side on the Common Council. So I take the privilege and the responsibility that comes with that. I have been able to work with many groups that are here, finding funds for them. The Niagara Reconstruction Project, the monuments, all of the things that we have seen today, all of the progress. In some way, it's a responsibility that I have. And I want to live up to that responsibility. As I said, there are many responsibilities that comes along with the privilege. And one of the privilege I had in the Common Council was just recently. I was asked by the Hispanic Heritage Council, by Kaz Rodriguez and Tamara Salce and some of the members of the council, to name the Niagara Library after someone in the community that had impacted this community. And I thought that was a great idea. And certainly many of the great ideas don't emanate from City Hall, by the way. They actually emanate from you and they come back to us. After a long process of putting together a list of names to be nominated, they established a process that was long and engaged the community. Shortly after that, they put together a committee to vet those names nominated. And they came up with a name that I thought was it's a great name to nominate. Among all of the candidates, there's so many great candidates. I thought of Juan Texidor, came to heart. One had passed away shortly after the process had begun. But there were so many great names, and they came together with the name of Isaiah Gonzalez. And I know the family. It's like my family. I don't know where the Gonzalez family is out there. They're somewhere out on that table over there. Raise your hand, Gonzalez family. I know this is a proud day for you all. And I can assure you that there will be other processes to name other buildings after Latinos that have served in this community. And I will sponsor those names on the Common Council the same way that I'm doing for Isaiah Gonzalez. We're going to be holding a legislative meeting this Tuesday, a public hearing, to name the Niagara Branch Library after Isaiah Gonzalez. So let's give their family a round of applause. I know you're very proud. So we're going to have a hearing, and then the the following meeting, we'll do the official act of voting on the change of the name. And I know that it's going to pass unanimously. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. There's some council members here. Are there any council members, please? I know Darius Pridgeon was here. The council president was here shortly. Any of Joe Golumbek? If there are any council members, thank you very much for your support. Once again, I stand on the shoulders of those that came before me. I owe them a debt of gratitude. I am not here because of David Rivera. I'm here because I've learned from many of the people that came before me, and I'm very appreciative. And I'm very honored to serve in the capacity that I've served and being able to impact this community and impact the community at large. So once again, thank you very much. A great day for the Latinos community. Thank you very much to Raul Rusi for your history and the lessons. And you're right, it's important to get it accurate, isn't it? It's very important. That is why when Kaz talked to me about putting together an organization, an institution, or a method of archiving our history, I think that is very important. How many festivals have we had? How many events have we done? How many great things have we done? We want to archive that for our children and our grandchildren. So I am a big proponent of archiving all that information. Once again, thank you to the Heritage Council for all the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rivera. We appreciate you so much for all the work that you do. We would also like to thank the Niagara Library Name Selection Committee, comprised of the following committee leaders: Eunice Lewin, SUNY Trustee, Chair; Lucy Calderario, Executive Director of the Bell Center; Michael Martin, Executive Director of Native American Community Services; Eugenio Gino Rusi, Executive Director of Hispanics Unidos de Buffalo; and Honorable Deanne Trippi, Family Court Judge.
And now I'd like to invite Eileen really quickly, because I believe this is last call.
Thank you for all of you that passed by and check on our beautiful art back there. This is the last call for the auction, and it's still one basket of 4 bison tickets that no one has bid. So just get enthusiastic and go back there, and this is the last call for bidding. Thank you.
I like what she said, get enthusiastic, people. Let's do it, let's do it. So at this time, I would like to ask all the directors of the Hispanic Heritage Council to come and join me on stage, me and Samantha on stage, if you wouldn't mind. All the directors, and while they're coming up, can we give them a round of applause again? We're pleased to celebrate 2 organizations, one that is still young and budding in Buffalo, and another that has deep roots in the community. The first, this is at the point where we're giving awards, and the first recipient of the Hispanic Heritage Council Appreciation Award is El Pate Dance Center, and with the founder and artistic director being Beatriz Flores. Is Beatriz here? Beatriz. Beatriz Flores. Beatriz, can you come up for a moment? El Pate is an organization whose core mission is to serve, educate, and empower our youth by honoring and preserving Puerto Rican culture and history through traditional dance and music. And we're really pleased to say that's exactly what she's doing. So Beatriz, we want to give you an award. We're going to step back a little bit. We all like to be at the podium. So we're going to step back a bit, and we're going to offer you an award on behalf of the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York. You look beautiful. We're going to give you this beautiful award, which I'm going to pull out of the bag for a second. And isn't that pretty? And it says, the Friends of Hispanic Heritage honoring Pate Dance Company, Beatriz Flores, President. We also like to give you an envelope with a certificate or something inside.
All right, surprise. That's always good.
It's a surprise.
That's always good. Thank you.
So would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Casimiro. I'd like to thank my kids, Bianca and Victor. They're the reason why I started this movement, I call it. It's meant to to empower kids. I realize that kids need champions, and this is the reason why I did what I did. I want to encourage everyone to get in front of a kid and be that champion for them. Not just your kids, your cousins, everyone's. It really, truly takes a village. And the core mission of El Bate is evolving. We're involved in the community. And every day as it goes, we find that there's needs, different types of needs. Just meet those. If we are privileged enough to be in this position, we've grown to, I'm a product of a single mother, public housing, and I'm here and I'm giving back. So I encourage everyone to literally reach back and pull somebody up with you. We cannot make it if we're not together. So, thank you.
Tam is going to say what's in that.
Good morning. So the Friend of Hispanic Heritage Award is given to an organization or individual who, through words and actions, exemplifies and supports the mission of the Hispanic Heritage Council to foster and inspire awareness, understanding, and appreciation of the past, present, and future contributions of our Hispanic community in Western New York. And the recipient of these awards contribute significantly to the rich cultural heritage of Western New York. And we're very happy to award this to El Bate today, along with a check for $500 that we approved to help to forward your mission. And the next award, I'm very pleased to ask to come to the podium Wilmer Olivencia Jr., President of the Agustin Pucho Olivencia Community Center. As Wilmer is coming up, let's give him a big round of applause as he's walking up. Puchos, as most of us call it, is an organization founded in 1968 that has been the epicenter of all things Latino in Buffalo, New York. Not only is it a place where you can relax and dance, but it is the headquarters of the annual Grease Pole Festival, the oldest festival in Western New York, the longest running. And how many people here remember a time in your youth, in your present, that you have spent time at the Olivencia Center enjoying time with our community, with friends and family, have held events there, went to the dances as children, and it's just an icon in our community, and I'm so proud to have Wilmer here to accept not only our Friend of Hispanic Heritage Award, but also a $1,000 check to help with this year's Grease Pole Festival. So let me just quickly read this. Friend of Hispanic Heritage, honoring Agustin Pucho Olivencia Community Center, awarded to Wilmer Olivencia Jr., President, for your outstanding support of our mission to foster, inspire awareness, understanding, and appreciation of past, present, and future contributions of the Western New York Hispanic community. Thank you. Thank you, Wilmer.
Wow, that's beautiful. I first of all want to thank the Hispanic Heritage Council, all of the board of directors. You guys do a phenomenal job. Let's give them a round of applause for the great work that they do. The Olivencia Community Center has worked with countless community leaders, elected officials, and organizations, but we have a great working relationship with the HHC. Just to mention a few, the Salsa for the Cure is an awesome event where we all come together to raise money and awareness for cancer. This was something that obviously, we've had a great collaboration with. The Arroz con Dulce that we get from the HHC for our annual Three Kings Day celebration is always a great treat for our families that attend. Most recently, they did a video for us for our festival, which we use on our website today. It's the puchoolivencia.com. We just launched it, so look it up. We'll have some great ideas and events that are happening on the website. And most recently, the Hurricane Maria committee thing, that was just something that, it takes a village to raise a child, and this village right here. We're standing here today, to help our family members and friends on the island of Puerto Rico. So I can't say enough This award, I receive in honor of not only myself, but my board of directors. So Luis Reyes, Cristina Olivencia, Linda Mauras, Felicia Cruz, Vivian Colondres Yanting, Brian Bridges. This is the committee. I'm just the figure, but these are the people that are behind the scenes doing all of the work. So I couldn't do this by myself. I want to thank them. I'm going to give them a round of applause and just thank everybody. And July 20th, 21st, and 22nd is the 49th annual Maurice Cole Festival. Quick commercial. Hope to see all of you guys there. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Wilmer, and congratulations to the Agustin Pucho Olivencia Community Center. Our council member, David Rivera, when he was up, he had talked about the historic milestone in our community and naming the Niagara Branch Library. Michelle and Samantha did mention the committee, the selection committee that went through the nominees to be able to pick the community leader. But someone drove that entire process for our organization. And I'd like to publicly acknowledge and thank Dr. Tamara Alsace that worked very hard, very hard. Very hard she worked. Give her a round of applause, she deserves it. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy. It's a lot of heartache to be able to drive this transparent process in our community, to bring the community together, to inform the community, to document book, chapter, and verse of everything that we did, to be able to come up with a good and transparent process and to bring the committee together to be able to decide the nominee and the honor of naming that library Isaías Gonzalez, one of our forefathers. So thank you very much, Dr. Tamara Alsace. And to the committee, in the video we saw some of the extracurricular activities that the organization does on their free time. This organization is a volunteer board of directors. Everyone here, most of them, with the exception of a couple, they work full-time jobs. We don't have a secretary. We don't have an executive director. We do everything from the goodwill of our heart because we have passion for our community. We have passion for the history, to be able to preserve that history, that heritage, and that culture. David talked about, and let me tell you, David, thank you very much. You're a true champion of our community. Thank you very much. I know they were mentioned before, but I'd like to publicly acknowledge our legislators. Majority Leader April Baskin, I believe she was here and she had to leave, and our legislator Barbara Miller-Williams. Barbara, thank you very much for all your support to our organization and our community. Strong supporters of the arts and culture, and that's what it's all about. If we do not have art and culture in our community, and any community, we're missing the mark. And thanks to these folks, David Rivera, Barbara Miller-Williams, April Baskin, our Sean Ryan, Senator Kennedy, and the rest, for their support. Their support is very important. During the hurricane relief, this committee that the video talked about that came together at the Bell Center under the leadership of Lucy Candelario and also Gilbert Hernandez chaired the fund committee that distribute the $220 some odd dollars, not only in Puerto Rico, but here locally. With committees, we were able to disperse those funds. There's other folks, there's other communities that did a lot as well. One is the Italian American community that stepped up to the plate with many other communities to be able to help some of the folks that did arrive to the city of Buffalo. And till this day, matter of fact, I spoke to him the other day. He was taking a television set to one of the homes, but several dozen of families were helped by the Spanish American or the Italian American Club Pendiente. Joe DeLeo, are you here? Can you please come up, please? Joe DeLeo, he's the editor and publisher of the Pendiente magazine, the Italian American Association, and his wife Tony. They've worked countless of hours. I've gotten calls past midnight regarding, the help that they have been able to provide the Puerto Rican families. It's not about race, it's not about nationality. It's about service to the community. And Joe and Tony, on behalf of the Hispanic Heritage Council, we'd like to present just a little token of appreciation for all that you have done. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thanks, Kaz, so much for inviting us and for this honor. You know, over 100 years ago, our families came to this country. They had nothing, they survived. And we look back, and when I looked back at what was happening at Maria, I looked at my wife and I said, there's people out there that could use some help, just like our families needed help back then. So I called Kaz, he gave me a couple families that needed some help. We did that. And from those two families, it just keeps expanding, expanding, and expanding. So we're going to continue on as we've done this past year and continue to help those who have fallen through the cracks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Also, a faith-based organization, Destiny Church, Minister Deborah Quinones partnered with Joe on a lot of helping the families, taking them downtown for services and benefits. We appreciate that. The committee worked very hard. Worked very hard. Nadia Pizarro, she led the efforts, the local efforts with the Catholic charities. And I don't have all their names, but let me tell you, you saw them in the video. They're all pictured there. They worked very hard, and we appreciate that, and they're still working hard. I saw Miguel Santos just a few minutes ago. He's on his way to Puerto Rico to also meet with some company to be able to provide solar energy. And that's what it's all about. It's about providing service, not only to ourselves, but to a community.